morning, participants. So today we will learn about recruitment analytics. So before this session, you might have learned about the recruitment steps and what are the challenges associated with the each step. So till now you would have understood what are the steps that are there in the recruitment process and what are the challenges associated with this. So now we will discuss, being a manager, what kind of challenges that you may face at your workplace, as well as we will discuss about Air India case. Like as you are aware, when this Tata Group acquired the Air India, then how many application has come. If you are working as a HR manager in the Air India, then what you will do and how you will deal with that particular situation as a recruitment manager or talent hiring manager. So that is what also we will discuss in this session. So first thing, like that you are already aware, this Air India is acquired by the Tata Group. So what happened in this? So many people applied for Air India job. What happened? So can you think about it? Yes. So if you are working as a HR manager in Air India, then what you would have done in that particular situation? What kind of questions that might have come in your mind, right? So when you are working as a HR manager in Air India, then first thing that might have come in your mind, how many candidate you should call for the interview, how you should screen such a huge number of application with very short period of time. If you are using technology, right, then how it should be adopted. If earlier you were not using the technology, then how you would have done this manually, right? So that screening, what should be the screening criteria, how to screen such a huge number of applications, because we do not know before Tata Group whether Air India was receiving such a huge number of applications for in their recruitment process or not. How many rounds of interviews should be conducted after, before making the final decision about the candidate, how many round of interview should be conducted. Can we attract the same number of candidate without advertisement in the future? Right, when you are getting such a huge number of the application, your application to required candidate is very high, right? That is what has happened, right? Similarly, in India, you can see the situation in government jobs also. In government jobs also the same thing happens. When few vacancies are there and huge number of applications are coming, because of that lot of problems comes to in front of the government. So now government has to make a decision. So they also can apply certain analytics, they can also identify certain questions which need to be answered, and related to that they can do the data analysis on identifying the to identifying the answers for these questions, and then they can manage this recruitment process properly in their organization, right? So same thing happened with the Air India, right, as you are already aware. So just I had discussed with the Air India HR manager, right, and found that what are the challenges that they face. So first thing that was coming, they never received such a huge response, right? So what it indicates that? It indicates that when Air India was run by the government, that attractiveness of the Air India was low, and when it is acquired by the Tata Group, then the attractiveness of the organization got increased, right? So that is the difference that you can see ki when this top leadership and organization gets changed, then how it impacts the number of application for the required position, right? So that is what you can understand from this case. As well as one more thing that you can understand, like it was a normal phenomena or it has happened just one time, right? If it is a normal phenomena, then you are very lucky because you are getting such a huge number of application. You need to deploy the number of people in order to analyze, or you have to take a decision to deploy the technology in order to screen. So, such kind of decision how you will make, what are the things that you should do, what are the numbers that you should analyze before making such decision, right. So, that is what we will learn in this week in all recruitment sessions. So, 1 to 5 recruitment analytics will make you understand what are the numbers that you should extract from the system in order to make the right decision. What are the matrices that you need to prepare in order to make these decisions. Second aspect that I want to discuss in this session is, if you are a young manager in any organization, right, then what kind of questions that may be asked to you at a workplace, day to day work. Because what is the use of this analytics? Analytics will help you to make a better decision on daily basis or quarterly basis, short term decision, long term decision. So, whatever decisions that you need to make, right, so this analytics will help you. So, what are the questions that you may face, right. So, this is the list of questions that I have prepared based on my interaction with some of the young HR managers, right. If you, these are just sample. If you want to add some more question to it, you can add and you can identify the answers of those questions. But I would like to highlight few questions which a young HR manager need to answer at a workplace. So, these questions could be: how to attract more suitable candidate for the vacant position. If you are working in the HR department, it could be one of the most important question for you, how to attract the more suitable candidate for the vacant position. You may not be having any idea. So, what kind of data that you should analyze in order to identify the answer of this question? What information should be given in the job advertisement? I hope each organization is giving the job advertisement. In the case of a small organization, they may not be giving, they may be relying only on employee referrals, but most of the big organization, they give advertisement in the newspaper in order to attract the relevant candidate. So, what information should be given in that advertisement? How we should decide, being a HR manager, right? What if you are putting some information related to pay, related to accommodation, then what is the logic? Whether these participants like that, they want that information or not. So, right, so such kind of analysis that we need to do before designing the job advertisement, right. So, what type of information that you would like to give in the job advertisement on, so certain number that you need to identify, certain things that you need to analyze, and after that you can decide what information should be given in a job advertisement, right. Third question your senior may ask you. He may ask you how to select the appropriate recruitment method, or what is the appropriate recruitment method for our organization, how we should select the candidate, how we should select the candidates, whether we should select the candidate through internal recruitment or we should select the candidate on the basis of external recruitment. So, what should be the criteria to decide which method is appropriate or which method is more suitable to our organization, how we can take a decision, right. These questions may change from, answers of these questions may change from one organization to another organization, but questions will remain same, right. Which method? Because we cannot imagine any organization without recruitment activity. There is no organization, as far as my concern, which does not recruit the people, because without people you cannot function. So, you have to do this recruitment activity, right. So, if you have to do the recruitment activity in your organization, then you have to identify the answers of these questions in order to make the relevant decisions for your organization. So, next question that your manager may ask: how will you decide how many applications are sufficient to fill the vacant position in the organization? For example, if you are having 10 positions in your organization, so how many people you should call for the interview? How you will decide, right? So if you are calling 10 people, 10 positions are there. If you are calling only 10 people, it may be possible 10 people are not coming for the interview. 8 are coming, 7 are coming, 6 are coming out of 10. Then how many people you should call? You should call 20, you should call 30, you should call 40. So how many numbers you should call, right? How you should do this employer branding so that these 40 or 50 people will apply to your organization for the job. What you should do, right? How you should decide, right? So such kind of things that each manager has to answer on daily basis, right? So objective of this session is first to understand the questions which a manager need to ask, because before this session you have already learned what are the steps of the recruitment process and what are the challenges that is associated with the recruitment process, right? So in order to, and so in addition to that, I am adding the few questions which a recruitment manager need to answer on daily basis. So these are the 4 questions: how to attract the more suitable candidate, what information should be given in the job advertisement, how to select the appropriate recruitment method, how you will decide how many applications are sufficient to fill the vacant position in the organization, right? So being a HR manager inside the organization, you need to identify the answers of these all questions, right? So in this analytics, we will tell you how to reach systematically to answer of these questions. Next question that your manager may ask you: now performance appraisal is done. In most of the organization, you will see when the result of performance appraisal comes, then most of the employee leave because of dissatisfaction with the organization, or they get some better opportunities in order to enhance their career. So most of the people leave after the performance appraisal process. In between also, in year also, in between also they leave, right? So being a young HR manager, how you will predict how many people will leave the organization next year? Because if you are not able to predict how many people are going to leave, then you will not be able to do the HR planning, right? So you need to have an idea how many people are going to leave the organization, right? They are leaving because of the organization, or they are leaving for their personal reason. So employee initiated attrition and organization initiated attrition. What is the reason for this attrition, right? So where in the case of employee, attrition could be avoidable and unavoidable, right? So what we should do for the avoidable attrition, right? For unavoidable attrition, like for the health purpose, right? You don't have, if somebody is leaving just because of the health reasons, then that you cannot do anything because of the health that person is leaving, right? So that is what, this is the question that you need to answer on day to day basis being a HR manager. If you are not able to answer this question, your HR planning will be impacted, right? So next question that may be very important for you, that is the next question, that is the how many job offers should be given to fill one position in your organization. So you are having the various department, you are in the department you are having the various position like assistant manager, senior manager, head of the department, right? So in order to fill that position, top position, a middle level position, how many job offer you should give? If you have a one position, if you will give one job offer, right, do you think that position will be filled? Are you sure about your employer brand? Your employer brand is so strong, people will not go to the competitor, right? So that analysis you need to do it. If you are not sure about employer brand, what is the strength of your employer brand, then you have to think whether you should give one job offer or you should give two job offer, or when you should close your recruitment process, right? When you should stop inviting the new application for these available positions, right? So these all decisions that you need to make in order to design your recruitment process effectively, right? Next question that you need to answer: who are the target candidates for your organization, right? Who will be joining your organization? If you are a new in the market, it may be possible your competitor you may not compete with the big organization, right? If you are entering into the e-commerce market, for example, Flipkart and Amazon are already very strong, are having very strong employer brand. So it may be possible somebody who receive the offer from Amazon and Flipkart may not join your organization, right? So you need to identify who are the right candidate who will join your organization. So how you will decide that? How you will decide that? Because each organization wants the best employee, right? But it does not mean that that best employee wants to join your organization, right? So how you will identify who is the best employee for your organization, or who is the most suitable candidate for your organization and willing to join your organization? So how you will target these candidates, what activities that you will do, what data that you need to analyze, how systematically you will answer the question of this question. Next question: nowadays the lot of technology is being used in order to enhance the effectiveness of the recruitment process, or to reduce the time that is being taken in the recruitment process. So technology may be for initial screening. If you are receiving the high number of application, then you can use the technology for the initial screening purpose, right? So how it is impacting the recruitment process? So whether it is making the effective or efficient, and you have to take a decision how much technology you should involve in the recruitment process, in which step the technology has to be involved, has to be used, and in which step it should not be used. That is the decision that you have to make, right? So these are the some of the questions, and two more questions that we have. So how many rounds of interviews should be conducted for various positions? This is another very important question. You will select the candidate just after one interview, one round of interview, or two round of interview, three round of interview. So how many rounds of interviews are appropriate to make a decision? How many rounds of interviews are appropriate to make a decision? Have you ever thought, right? If you are keeping the 4 rounds of interview, then what is the why you are keeping only 4? Why not 5? Why not 6? If you are keeping 3 rounds of interview, then why 3? Right? How to decide this number of rounds for the interview should be decided. In each round, what you are going to assess, whether you are going to assess the person job fit, whether you are going to assess person team fit, whether you are going to assess the person supervisor fit, whether you are going to assess the person organization fit. So what you are assessing in various round, what kind of questions should be asked, how you will ensure that right kind of question being asked in each step, right, in each round, right? So that is the very important questions. I hope you being a HR manager, you also may be facing such kind of, you also need to prepare the answer of such kind of questions. Next question could be how to attract and select the candidate for the top positions. How to attract and select the candidate for the top positions. So at the beginning of this session, I had taken the example of Air India, right? So you might have seen in the Air India case, the CEO of Air India was also the new person, right? He is also hired. So what should be the strategy to hire the CEO? what should be the strategy to hire the general manager, senior manager, top management positions, how you should attract and select the candidate for the top positions, right. So that is the question that you need to answer. If you are a HR manager, you need to do the recruitment not only for the people who are starting their career, you may have to do the recruitment process for the top positions also. So in Air India, new CEO has come, so somebody must have hired it, right. So how much coordination is required, what are the steps that has been taken, how the decision that has been taken, right. So these are the questions I hope in young HR managers mind must be going, right, in your organization when you are working at a workplace, right. So how to identify the answers of these questions, that is the thing that you need to answer, you need to think being a young manager. So these 10 questions just I have taken as a sample. If you need more, you may be having the more questions in your mind, or your manager may be asking the more questions, you can make a list of all those questions which you need to answer on daily basis in your recruitment department, right. And in the next, after this session, in the next session I will discuss about the recruitment matrix that will give the answer of these questions to you. So before discussing this HR recruitment matrix, I want to discuss the uses of recruitment and selection matrix, as well as how to develop these recruitment and selection matrix. So first step that you have already understood, identify the questions which you need to answer on day-to-day basis. If you are able to identify the relevant questions, then after identifying the relevant questions, ask yourself what information that you needed in order to answer these questions. So for example, let us take one of the question from this, like how many job offers should be given to fill one position, right. So what you need to analyze in this case, what is the job acceptance rate, what is the job acceptance rate, like if you have released the 10 job offer, then out of 10 how many people are joining in your organization. So let us assume 30 out of 10 only 3 people are joining in your organization, out of 10 only 3 people are joining in your organization, right. So if you have to fill up, so if you have to fill up one position, so you can do 3 divided by 10. So if you are releasing 10 offer letter, then 3 people are joining, so 10 divided by 3, 10 divided by 3, so this would be the answer for your one position. So approximate 3 to 4 job offers you need to release in your organization to fill up one position. So what do you have understood, like how many offers? So what do you have to calculate? The job acceptance rate, right, that is what you need to understand. Second rate could be important, how many people after accepting the job offer before joining they reject it, right. If you have that data also, then after analyzing job acceptance rate as well as people who receive the offer letter but before rejected before joining it. So if you have these two data, then you can give the answer of this particular question. So what I am trying to make you understand here, once you have identified the question, then you ask yourself to answer this question, what information that you are needed, right. So in detail we will discuss in the next session what information would be needed in order to solve these all questions, right. So here you can understand, for I have taken the example for the question number 6. So that is the job acceptance rate. So, if you know the job acceptance rate, then you can answer this particular question, right. So, that is how you can identify the relevant information that you are needed. After that, what you can do, you can collect the relevant data from your organization, right, and you can prepare an Excel sheet related to these all variables, and then you can do the calculation. After doing the calculation, you can make a decision about these questions. So, now let us come. So, questions about, so these questions, answer of these questions will help you to do what? These answer of these questions will help you to do the better human resource planning. You will be able to make a better plan, how many people you are needed, how many applications you should receive, how much you need to invest in the employer branding, what you should do in order to increase the number of application, right. After that, you will be able to develop the next decision, you will be able to do that building a retention strategy. So, you will be able to develop a better retention plan, because the objective of this HR department is to recruit and retain, recruit, develop and retain the people, right. So, this is the objective. So, once you understand this attrition analysis, right, after understanding this attrition analysis, you will be able to develop certain retention strategies, designing flexible strategy for your organization, and talent management strategies. So, related to these areas, you will be, I am not saying only to these areas, some other areas also they are related to recruitment, you can make a decision. For example, I have taken these 3 to 4 areas where you can make a better decision if you are knowing the right questions and right type of information that you are needed. If you have it, and then you can make a right decision related to these areas, right. So, in this session we have learned what are the questions a young HR manager need to answer at a workplace, and how he has to develop the matrix, right. That is what also we learn. After identifying the question, ask yourself what information is needed and then develop the matrix. So, in detail we will discuss the matrix in the next session. So, thank you.